r/AskReddit. What's the most high risk, low reward thing you've ever done? Taking a year in a program I wasn't interested in to try and get a girl, who turned me down instantly. Edit. I wasn't horny, I was lonely, and we were good friends prior. Not so much afterwards as shit got awkward. It was also my second year, so I did get a useless degree I never claimed for my trouble. Social science. Balanced on the top rung of a 6-meter ladder to change a light bulb at work. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes. Yeesh. I've done that too. The downspout on my eave troughs came off. We were living in those skinny condos at the time. Ground level garage. Living room 2nd floor. Bedrooms 3rd floor. So the eave troughs were probably 35 plus feet up. I borrowed my father-in-law's extension ladder. It was probably 10 feet short. I put it basically vertical against the house, instead of having the bottom further back. Stood on the top rung on my tippy toes and just barely got the downspout back on. So dumb. I stole every wheel off the chairs in my high school's computer lab as a joke during a 20-minute break. I still have one of them. Probably could have gotten expelled just for a slightly funny joke and a useless chair wheel. I did the same thing except it was the mouse balls from the computer lab. So dumb. I skipped class after a standardized test. Literally the afternoon teachers were showing movies and doing nothing, and I decided it was smart to get in school suspension to sit behind a warehouse and nap with my dumbest friend. My senior year, I figured out that I was legally an adult, so I could literally just leave whenever I wanted. I was an F&D student, but when I started cutting class early, my grades went to B's and C's because I had time to settle in at home, get an early start on my homework, and still had enough time and energy to play games with my friends on Xbox Live. My hippie teacher I had a few years earlier once said, and he could have gotten fired for this, "Give yourself a break. Get your grades up and skip class every once in a while as a way to treat yourself." Paraphrase. It worked, but I don't think he meant to do it once a week. Whilst building a house, the 2nd floor had an I-beam that extended out into nowhere that needed to be painted with rust protection paint. The floor had not been installed yet and the joists were still going in. To save time, I shimmied out to the end of the beam and started painting. Every breath of wind made the whole thing sway. Just my movements made it wiggle a fair bit. Nearly took a 6-meter swan dive to a concrete floor about 12 times. I could have painted it after the floor was in, but that would mean laying down drop sheets and lots of messing around. It should have waited. Was a totally stupid thing to do. Stupid? Maybe. But I've seen a lot of painters do a lot of stupid stuff like that, me included, so I think you were just playing the part. I used to dive in ponds at golf courses to collect the lost balls and clean sort them to sell back to the courses. It's unbelievable just how many snakes, alligators, and leeches live in those things. I made less than minimum wage, around 6-ish at the time, and had countless close calls with critters. However, the most dangerous creatures on golf courses are old people. They do not give a duck if you're working. They will absolutely send balls of hard plastic hurtling at your head at 50 miles per hour without a second thought, then get pissed when their ball hit your tank or cart and split open. Then demand you hand over some of your recovered balls in compensation. Edit. I have been informed golf balls fly much faster than 50 miles per hour. Another edit. Yes, the court was always informed when we were there, and they were usually the ones to make the appointments. We quarantined off the area with bright tape and cones with signs, and the golfers were either informed to steer clear of the area or the course shut down for a couple hours. It depends on the course though. Some people believe those rules are a suggestion and ignore all of it, especially in places without barriers or fences around the course. One more edit. This was in Florida, hence the density of dangerous wildlife. My friends and I used to target and steal those signs that said if you are caught stealing you will be prosecuted. Many illegal things were done and many hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff was ignored to steal increasingly difficult to obtain paper signs. I absolutely love when someone steals something worth nothing while ignoring something valuable just for the sake stealing it. IDKY. Going way beyond the speed limit when I first started driving. When I think of the car stuff we tried when young, man, I shouldn't be alive. Mixing water with petrol to see if it works. When I was about 7, There was some kind of meeting we had at school where the school counselor was asking a large group of us if there was anything we were sad or mad about. I think it was basically meant as an introduction to the concept of a counselor. I was sad that my great grandmother had recently died, and I mentioned it. The counselor told me that it was okay to be sad, that there's a grieving process, etc. Semicolon, you know, the regular advice for that sort of thing. But for some bizarre reason, what I told my mother later was completely different. To this day I cannot figure out why I did this. I don't remember disliking the counselor or anything like that. The only thing I can think of is that maybe I was doing one of those nonsensical what happens if I do this thing experiments that all kids do. I told my mom that the counselor had told me you need to just forget about it and move on with your life. I had no idea what can of worms I had just opened. My mom was livid. Over the course of the next few days, she called the school asking why the counselor would say something like that to me, and she discussed it with a few different people. They asked what the counselor's exact words were according to me, and my mom sat down and began to write a letter to make it into a formal complaint. She asked me what exactly the counselor said so that she could put it in this letter. At that point I knew this had gone way too far, and I was feeling bad over the fact that I was going to get this woman in trouble. So I finally admitted, quietly, she said, that it's okay to be sad. My mom, dad and grandmother were all very disappointed in me. My mom asked me why I would lie about something like that. I genuinely didn't have an answer for her, because I didn't know. When I said it, I had no idea it was going to go that far. I didn't know that my mom was going to go all the way to making a formal complaint about it. In the few days before she started writing the letter, I was hoping that she'd just sort of let the whole thing go, but she didn't. So I eventually had to fess up. I still feel bad about that to this day, because assuming the counselor was told about this, she had to be wondering why I was trying to get her in trouble. She was a nice lady and didn't do anything wrong, but for whatever reason, I clicked the wrong dialogue choice and quickly realized that I couldn't exactly reload from save. Masturbate using vapor rub. I swam in the Zambezi when I was drunk on a tiger fishing trip. Still can't believe I was that stupid. For those that don't know, it's infested with hippos and crocs, known for taking people. But tiger fishing in the Zambezi sounds ducking sweet though. Once got in a fit of road rage. A guy cut me off on the interstate, so I honked at him. Wasn't a quick honk, it was a longer one. Few seconds. Guy slows down and matches the speed of the car in the right lane, so I'm blocked now. I flash my headlights and honk again. He proceeds to spit out his sunroof and it hits my windshield. He then accelerates heavily back to speed. I floor it, move to the right lane and move to pass him. He floors it. Now we're both going faster. Definitely got over 85 miles per hour. Limit was 65 if I recall correctly. Coming up quickly on a delivery truck in the right lane. He's still in the left. I'm in the right. I punched it harder. I just barely get in ahead of him, then cut him off. Maybe 50 feet before the delivery truck. I slow down and match the speed of the delivery truck. Wait for probably a minute at that speed limit. Then pass the delivery truck and move right. He had been tailgating me and half driving on the shoulder. Guy floors and flies past. I return to going 5 over the speed limit. Lots of risk, zero reward. I was a complete idiot and there was nothing to gain. Saved no time and endangered at least 3 lives, if not more. Mine, other guy, and delivery truck. Cocaine. Almost called 911. Again. I got some cocaine with fentanyl in it about a year ago. Thankfully the guy I was with at the time knew CPR. Got me breathing again. Drove me to the ER and called my work saying that I wouldn't be there the next day for an obscure, non-drug related reason. Told this story before but it's been a while. My friends and I used to break into expensive looking houses and use their showers. This was in the late 90s when ridiculous showers were in vogue and we wanted to know if they were actually any good. For the most part they were not. We never stole anything well, except water. We brought our own towels and toiletries. We were very careful about who we hit and made sure they had set schedules and no children or pets. The reward was a shitty shower. We risked jail time. Decided to see how fast I could get up to on a nearby neighborhood road. Driving my mother's car no less. got up to 80 miles per hour in around 6 seconds I think, and by the time I realized I should be slowing down the tires were screeching as I tried to stay on the road. It was a mostly straight neighborhood road, 35 mph, that curved near the end leading to a 4-way stop. I got up to 80 right where the road began to curve, and as I was turning I was going so fast that I went over into the other lane, just a foot or two from going up over the curb. Slowed down and brought the car to a stop at the intersection, and my family member sitting in the passenger seat looked over at me as if he had just shit the life right out of himself. I was 19 at the time and got my license that same summer. My passenger was 16. I've never had such a powerful moment of instant regret after that day. I didn't feel cool at all. I could have killed a pedestrian, a child, or myself and my family member. That was the day I truly learned that I could lose my life, and have respected all traffic laws since. Well, to a reasonable extent. I'm only glad that we came out completely unharmed. CPR on 2 active TB patients. Felt like shit after. Neither made it. If you didn't, you'd be asking yourself what would have happened if you did. Despite the bad outcome, you absolutely did the right thing. Told my mom that my dad was working outside and not the truth of him tearing out a wall because he decided a sliding door would be pretty. He did not get it done before she got home. Pretty sure this is a Malcolm in the Middle episode. Shoplifted condoms 3 years ago. I'm still a virgin. I was a free intern for a flower shop. One day there was a shady person walking in the store basement. Somebody said he stole something from the shop and fled to the basement. The shop was in an apartment building, street level, and the basement led to all over the building. So they said to me, a 16-year-old girl, to go to the basement and check the situation out. Well, I was young and dumb and went. Thank God I found no one. Jumping onto a bus that was pulling away from the bus stop without closing its doors. The bus is every 10 minutes. I was working as a chef in a gourmet bar/restaurant, and I'd become somewhat of a teacher's pet in the form of my manager's favorite employee because I was never late. Covered shifts etc. Not for his sake. I wanted more money. New guy started and he was just awful. Only got 2 weeks into the job before almost being sacked, but I wanted to teach him the ways. Anyway, one day he carelessly left a cloth on an open flame during prep in the morning of Valentine's Day, our biggest revenue generator, and a fire ravaged through about 1/4 of the kitchen, including the stock, the microwaves, the cooker and the veg prep area. And for some stupid ducking reason I said it was my fault when the manager was on the warpath, thinking the new guy would be saved and I'd just take a humongous bollocking for being stupid and all would be fine eventually. Nope. I got sacked. He threw me out. To this day I will never ever understand why I put my neck into that guillotine of fire. Whoa. You made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.